Today we are going to answer one of the most frequently asked questions on our lifting shoe videos and questions that I receive, and that is, are weightlifting shoes worth it? In this video, we are going to talk about the populations that weightlifting shoes can benefit, the populations that will not benefit from weightlifting shoes, and kind of how to scale if you should start investing in a new pair. Let's answer the question, are they worth it? For most populations, they are not worth it. Why? Well, I think there's a fine line between wanting and needing, especially with supportive strength gear. So let's go through a couple examples. Let's say you're at a CrossFit box and you notice that all of your peers have on weightlifting shoes. So you want a pair. That is a want. But do you need them? Do you understand what they're going to do for you? I think for most beginners who reach for weightlifting shoes too soon, they don't really have a full grasp of how they're going to be able to benefit them. And what they end up doing is masking potential performance issues down the road. So let's go down that rabbit hole and talk about an example. So let's say you have trouble achieving squat depth. You see that the elevated heel can help you do so, so you get a pair of weightlifting shoes and voila, you have your depth. What is that doing down the road? Well, why were you not achieving depth in the first place? It could have been a mobility, stability, or strength issue, and the shoes are now serving as, like, let's say, a band-aid to kind of mask that. So now let's talk about another example of wanting weightlifting shoes for the wrong reason. So you're scrolling through Instagram one day, you see that your favorite athlete, someone that you idolize, that you really resonate with, rocking a pair of lifters. One thing you need to keep in mind is that this athlete more than likely has a bigger training history than you, they're further along in their career, and they know exactly why they're wearing those shoes. The shoes serve as an assist, not in a solution. So if you are getting a pair of weightlifting shoes to simply replicate your favorite lifter, one thing you need to keep in mind is the context of your training age, your mechanics, your body versus theirs. More than likely, they have tried multiple options out there and found something that works for them, and that does not mean that weightlifting shoes will work for you. So again, that's an example of wanting weightlifting shoes for kind of the wrong reason. Until you understand why you need them, you do not need to buy them. Weightlifting shoes are useful for two specific reasons. Number one is the stability that they promote, and that could be for the ankle or just the overall lift that you're performing in them. The elevated heel is often a more like high density foam or TPU base, so it's very firm. There's no deviation, so it doesn't rock back and forth on a lateral or medial basis when under heavy loads. And also the elevated heel creates a stable base to sit back on under, like, let's say, heavier squats, clean and jerks, and snatches. So that mixed with this stronger outsole promotes the overall stability of a weightlifting shoe. The second reason weightlifting shoes are useful is just the overall security they promote. So the strap, the two strap, or the BOA lacing system that come on most weightlifting shoes provide that midfoot with a ton of security. And so when you combine that with the stability of the elevated heel, strong outsole, and the firmer forefoot that accommodates toe splay, you're left with a shoe that is very secure to the ground and provides you with a lot of feedback. So there's going to be limited rocking from back and forth if you had, like, let's say, a cross trainer or a more like squishy running shoe with a thicker midsole. So why weightlifting shoes? Stability and security. So now who can benefit with a pair of weightlifting shoes? Number one is the folks that compete. If you compete, and whether it be weightlifting, let's say CrossFit or powerlifting, then you know if you need weightlifting shoes. This video is not for you. The second population are the folks that want to compete. You've been training for a while, you want to start competing, whether it be weightlifting, powerlifting, CrossFit, strongman, whatever the sport might be, you want to start getting more involved. You have a couple years of experience under your belt, you can try out weightlifting shoes, experiment with them, and see if they assist performance. This airs more heavy on the side of weightlifters and more CrossFit athletes who are going to be performing clean and jerks, snatches, even strongman competitors who perform log presses. You might need a weightlifting shoe heavier than somebody else, so they're useful for experimenting with and seeing if they assist your performance. Obviously, down the road, if you are more niche in these sports like weightlifting, you're going to be wearing a pair of weightlifting shoes. The third population is the recreational lifter that doesn't necessarily want to compete, but has a few years of experience under their belt. You have a strong foundation of strength, stability, proprioception under the bar, and you're not buying a pair of weightlifting shoes to mask any form of mobility issue. So there's a very fine line, obviously there, as we mentioned before, but if you have a couple years of experience under your belt and you want to start getting a little bit more serious with your barbell movements, whether they be to compete or not, then weightlifting shoes can be worth it to try out and experiment with. So now, who will not benefit from a pair of weightlifting shoes? There's one population in my mind that stands out, and that is obviously the true beginner. Now, there are going to be some variations within this population. For example, if you are a true beginner in weightlifting, then you may need a pair quicker than other athletes or other beginners for that matter, but I would really err on the side of what your coach recommends for you. More than likely, they're watching how you're moving. They can make recommendations accordingly. If you are just like, let's say, a recreational lifter who's starting out in the gym, you're just starting to squat, I would err on the side of almost not investing in a pair of weightlifters for like your first 2 years of training. More than likely, you're not gonna be moving weights heavy enough that are gonna really benefit from the assist that these shoes can provide your body with. So it's just gonna kind of mask potential issues down the road that you might have. There are better options out there if you're looking for stability that are not gonna kind of just shift your overall movement mechanics by elevating your heel. For example, like finding a good pair of cross trainers is probably a better bet than investing in a pair of weightlifting shoes right away if you're just learning how to squat, clean and jerk, and do just basic barbell movements. So again, if you're a true beginner, there isn't really a one-size-fits-all equation from who needs and who will benefit from weightlifting shoes, but I think for most beginners, you don't really need them, and if you don't know why you're getting them in the first place, then you really don't need them. All right, let's run down a quick checklist to ask yourself before investing upwards of maybe $200 for a pair of weightlifting shoes. Number one, do you plan to compete? If so, then yes, you might want to invest and start experimenting with weightlifting shoes. Number two, do you have ample training history? If you are over 2 years of experience, give or take under the bar, then you might want to invest in a pair of weightlifting shoes to assist your performance. Just understand the context of why you're buying them. Number three, do you understand what weightlifting shoes do? If you don't, do not buy a pair of weightlifting shoes. Use $200 for something else. Take your girlfriend, boyfriend out. And number four, are you buying a pair of weightlifting shoes to perform your best, or are you buying them to look like the best? Be mindful of marketing. So, are weightlifting shoes worth it? For most populations, aka a lot of the beginning populations, they are not worth it. If you have a very specific performance reason for getting a pair, then yes, they are worth it. So, you've decided that you do need a pair of weightlifting shoes? Stay tuned, we'll be building out a video focused on how to choose the perfect weightlifting shoe in the very near future. And if you like this video and if you've made it this far, listening to me rambling about weightlifting shoes, be sure to like the video, drop us a subscribe, it helps us a lot, and it helps us produce more videos for you.